Right, Langer. Let's do it. I'm your Huckleberry.
I'm not wearing hockey pants.
It's coming black. Well, hello everybody and welcome into this Saturday's MBE podcast. I am Jonathan C. Walsh here wearing gold Ray-Ban aviator glasses. I'm the host tonight on the podcast. Joining me to the left here, as he always does, I'm speaking like he's a guest here, guys. Stephen's, he's one of the main characters here on the channel. He's always here. This isn't a new thing. We're bringing somebody in, a rando, as we like to say here in Scotland.
I'm not Alfred.
You're not Alfred Pennyworth or Pennywise, as I used to call him. I said it once, for fuck's sake. Stephen's a co-host, Stephen John McLaughlin, that is, on the left here with the Levi's cap and the sort of the grey marrow hoodie. But Stephen, we're going to do this. Levi's, Levi's, as some people call it.
And my t-shirt, it's Levi's.
Well, mate, it's better than me, Stephen. I'm wearing the same Boston Red Sox hat I've had for about a year now. It's falling apart. As you know, I like to wear hats until they're literally deconstructing, thread by thread. And a 3-year-old Celtic top that clearly doesn't fit me. Fucking sprayed on. And the Mackie D's I've just ate before I come on. Probably not helping me that. But Stephen, we're going to be discussing Christopher Nolan and the Dark Knight trilogy. I want to say we are now 13 years out from the final addition to his trilogy, The Dark Knight Rises 2012. We went and seen it in IMAX. In fact, the only Dark Knight trilogy film I've ever seen in the theatres, and I've had the pleasure of watching Batman Begins or The Dark Knight. Don't know why, but I didn't. Clearly I was a clown back in 2008. Well, I was a clown back in 2008. That's a given. I'm still a clown now, some would say. But Stephen, we're going to be discussing it, recapping it, getting over it. Put my teeth back in, going over it. Just discussing, Stephen, the influential nature of this trilogy. Does it still have as much influence? Just discuss it in general. Stephen, I'll pass it over to you. You were the first out of us to obviously watch Batman Begins. And I remember you vividly telling me you have to watch this film. It's absolutely incredible. Totally different vibe. You need to watch it. What was your first interaction with Batman Begins, and what was your thoughts when you first seen it? Because this was a different kind of Batman.
But it was weird, John, because this film, I'm not saying it went under the radar with me. It didn't, because I knew I was aware of it. But, 7 years previously to this film was Batman and Robin. So I was kind of done with the whole Batman thing at that point in my life. And that was one of the reasons I didn't see this film in the cinema, which I totally regret. It's one of my biggest regrets in terms of films and cinema. And it was just purely off just burnout more than anything for Batman films at that point. And obviously, anyone that's watched Batman and Robin will know the reason why. Also, Chris Nolan at this point as well. I had seen Memento in 2000, and I thought it was okay. A lot of people love that film, and it's a good film, but
it's a clever film.
Yeah, it's just reverse engineering and deconstructing that film. You have to watch it a few times. Like most Nolan films, I did the same with Inception. But funnily enough, the film that came after that, Insomnia, was the one that I liked. In terms of ratings, I think Insomnia is lower rating than Memento. But I didn't really have this sort of fanboy sort of thing for Chris Nolan at this point. I knew he was a good filmmaker, but not the way I look at him now. So I wasn't really attracted to the film on that basis. And Christian Bale at this point as well, I'd just seen him, I think it was just off the back of, I know this is a few years obviously before, 99 or something like that, American Psycho, and I thought it was a great film. I thought he was good in it. But still, again, there was nothing really attracting me to the film. And it wasn't until I got the DVD, it was one of those deals that I got in HMV, John, and that was the third choice. I can't remember what the other two were, but that was fuck it, I'll just buy that. And I watched it, and it was the best thing I ever did. And I watched it, and I watched it, and I watched it. And then that's when I obviously spoke to you about it. I says, this film is great, by the way. I totally regret not go to see this in the cinema. Totally regret not seeing this any sooner, you know, but it's one of my favourite films. Not just one of my favourite comic book films, John, but one of my favourite films ever made. It's just a well-constructed film.
Stephen, it's underrated in terms of the three. Obviously, for me, I don't know if we're ever going to rate these films. I think we've did that before.
We did the reviews, 5 years ago.
It's the second best of the trilogy. The Dark Knight Rises is a brilliant film in its own right, but there's elements let it down. And for me, in terms of just the story, the characters, where Bruce is and Batman is in the film, I think Batman Begins is comfortably the second best. The Dark Knight, I mean, you could argue it's neck and neck with the Dark Knight. It's really just the villains. I mean, Ra's al Ghul's phenomenal. Liam Neeson, what more do you want? Scarecrow in there, Kelly Murphy. But I mean, you've got a performance like Heath's in the Dark Knight with the Joker, and obviously Harvey Dent in there as well, turned into Two-Face. Just so many iconic moments in that movie. That clearly tips it. But Stephen, you mentioned obviously Christian Bale and where he was at, and maybe not knowing him as much at that point. I think that's fair game, because really, when you look at his career, he came up as a kid actor in the late 80s, Empire of the Sun.
That's what I know from,
Pocahontas, he was a voice, I remember that when I was a kid. And then you're moving into the early 2000s and late 90s, you've got American Psycho 2000, probably a breakout movie in terms of being an adult. Shaft, I mean, fucking hell, I didn't know he was in Shaft. And then you've got Equilibrium. The Machinist is obviously the one that kind of propelled him into this sort of being tagged as a method actor who's willing to do some crazy shit for a role. And obviously that was less than a year prior to Batman Begins. I think he moved straight from The Machinist right into the role of Batman. And he went right down to something stupid like 9 stone or something. 150 pounds, 140 odd pounds. And he was right up, ballooning up to 200 pounds. And he was obviously termed the Fat Man behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wasn't hugely aware of Christian. This was probably the first, outside of American Psycho, this was probably the first proper role. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I watched American Psycho in 2005, 2006, because I fucking didn't. This was the first proper movie I seen Christian in, and then I went back. I even watched, I'm going to butcher the fucking thing, I literally just says it, the one that springs to mind, one is Empire of the Sun. I watched that, and obviously very young in that. Yeah, and it always stood out. He was one of the few guys alongside Gyllenhaal who came out of that sort of kid fame and made a sort of mark as an adult and stayed semi-sane. I say semi because obviously he's clearly fucking insane at times, shouting at people for changing reels or talking during takes and stuff like that. Quite right. I digress, so neither here nor there. Stephen, the casting's so important in these kind of movies, and obviously what helps us is just the unbelievable choices. And I'm going to bring up the cast here, and you get through this, man. You've got Christian as Bruce.
Yeah.
For me, the second best Batman ever. Just as a whole, because for me, Batman is a trifect kind of character, if that even makes sense. He's this sort of schizophrenic, free-person character. He's not quite Bruce, he's not quite Batman, the vigilante at night. He resides somewhere in between. The real Bruce is a combination of those two, so there's almost 3 elements going on. And in this movie in particular, this was probably one of my favourites in terms of the exploration of Bruce, because I'd never seen this, Stephen, in a Batman movie. I don't recall if they did this. I don't think they did do it in the Burton movies, where you actually get a full-blown origins where he's going off and studying. And I mean, I've not seen that movie in a long fucking time, so I'm maybe way off the beaten track there. I thought it was really unique the way he went on this journey, fell in with obviously Ra's al Ghul, and he didn't realise it was Ra's al Ghul at the time, but fell in with this sort of almost samurai kind of mystical group and learnt the ways and became one with the sort of darkness, and probably empowered himself through his phobia of bats and whatnot. He just became this really incredible figure that then they build upon as he moves back into Gotham. I thought that was a really unique way of telling the story. And just the grittiness, Stephen, is what grabbed me. It was realistic. That was the selling point for Chris Nolan with this trilogy. Gritty realism, not campy. And what you look at Tim Burton and what he'd done for Batman, monumental. Took it from this campy joke. And no offence to people who like the stuff from the 50s, 60s, whatever it was, but it was a campy mess. he transformed it and made it sort of consumable for the masses.
Yeah.
Nolan built upon that again to the point where now you look back and you think of the great performances from Nicholson. Obviously Keaton stands up, but Nicholson in particular, great performance. But it almost looks campy in comparison to this.
Yeah.
That's how gritty and dark and realistic it is. So he totally changed the fucking game. And I think he set the tone alongside the X-Men and maybe Spider-Man to an extent, but he set the tone for more people in society being mentally prepared for comic book movies. And then obviously what came after was the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, I don't think you can take it away from Tim Burton, John, and what he brought to film in terms of a superhero movie. You know, we can keep going back and we can say perhaps maybe Reeves' 78 Superman film was the beginning of this, but again, that was still straight out of a comic book. You fast forward to the early 2000s with X-Men, straight out of comic book, very good, very dark at times, serious tones at times as well, but it's still straight out of comic book. And I get that there's a lot of source material in all comic book films, John, but there was something about the Nolan films that you just mentioned it there, the realism, the gritty realism, you know, and I think the origin story in Batman Begins is important to establish that realism, because you're basically getting a breakdown of how everything functions technically, you know, with everything that he uses, and also the portrayal from Christian Bale of Bruce Wayne as well, and you know, his relationship with the League of Shadows was very important for that first film as well, because it set that sort of moral compass for Bruce from the very get-go. You knew that he was what he wanted to do. He wanted to become a symbol. He wanted to put fear into his enemies, but there was obviously a line that he wouldn't cross.
Yeah.
So, you know, all that was...
He get close, though.
Yeah, he certainly did. You know, but you watch Batman Begins, and then I know we're going to move to films as well, John, because they're very much the same in terms of pacing. It never stops.
No.
You know, from the first minute of that film, it just picks up, and it does not stop for a breather at all. It's such a frenetic film, and it only gets more frenetic as we get into the sequels as well, John. But fantastic cast.
Oh,
you look at that cast, some of the names, Michael Caine and Liam Neeson. Kate Holmes is in there as well. Gary Oldman, Cillian Murphy, as you said, Tom Wilkinson, the late Tom Wilkinson, the late Gar Hauer, Morgan Freeman. The list goes on, John. It's just a fantastically cast film. And it just makes it even more unbelievable that you and I missed this in the cinema, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. But I'm glad I picked up that third DVD at that time, because it really did change everything for me with this trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen, I mean, you can back the cast, and I mean, obviously Alfred's the guy, I forget the actual original guy who was Alfred in the 90s movies. I think he kind of jumped over from Keaton to Kilmer, and maybe...
Michael Gough.
Gough. He was obviously my Alfred as a kid. So this was the first time I'd seen that character kind of change. And Michael Caine, I mean, I grew up with this guy, Stephen, through my grandfather, watching the likes of Zulu and Italian Job. This guy's an institution. He was an institution 25 years ago, 20 years ago, and he remains an institution now. He's an absolute legendary figure, not just as an actor, but as an actual human being, what he stands for. Working-class guy with values that match a lot of people. So for him to be picked...
Terence Stamp and his friendship with Michael Caine, didn't we, the other week there?
Yeah, and obviously Sean Connery.
Yeah, Sean,
part of that sort of group in the sort of swinging 60s. Working-class guys, ordinary guys who hit it off and achieved stardom. But Stephen, it was really intriguing because Alfred, for the longest time, was viewed as this sort of stuffy upper-class Englishman, butler type. Alfred, in this vein, nowhere near that. This sort of ordinary guy, speaks with a kind of Cockney London accent, very common, but wise in his own right. He's been around the mock. So I thought that was an inspired choice. Also, you bring in Ken Watanabe, he's fucking great. And Liam Neeson, I mean, again, at this point, I'd seen him in Star Wars. He was still fairly fresh in my mind as Qui-Gon Jinn. Talking, 6 years prior? So... great choice. Gary Oldman at that point is Jim Gordon. I was still very much in amongst and remain a Harry Potter fan, but watching Harry Potter at the time, Order of the Phoenix, playing not Severus Snape, Sirius Black. This guy is just another guy. When I look through his career and I think all the roles he's been in, and I sort of think of The Fifth Element, I think of Harry Potter, I think of this, and fucking load of other ones. I think he played maybe the villain in what was it? The one with Harrison Ford. Is it Air Force One? It wasn't, was it? Played the sort of Russian villain. What to say?
Yeah.
I may be talking shit.
John, the guy, you know, it's funny, you
He's
know,
been
in
around
his
a lot.
career, he played villains, you know, so it was a refreshing change to see him play Jim Gordon in this, and such a pivotal role throughout the trilogy, throughout the story and the journey. Just some memorable moments, you know, for that character as well, all through Gary Oldman's performance. And just going back, John, just talking about Michael Caine as well there, just his rapport with Christian Bale. It's very important that Bruce Wayne and Alfred have got a good chemistry with them. And, you know, Michael Gough was very good, but he was that sort of upper crust butler. But he had a good rapport with Michael Keaton. He had a good rapport with Val Kilmer, and he had a good rapport with George Clooney as well. He saw it through those 4 films, sorry. But in this, I love the interactions between Bruce Wayne and Alfred. It's just another level. And as you said, you know, Michael Caine's portrayal of him, you kind of get a background of his military sort of background, you know, and more so in the second film when he's talking about some men just like to watch the world burn, you know, that speech. But he's got so many memorable lines as well, and there's a good under sort of tone of humour in there as well from Michael Caine, his character. Just, you know, you can borrow the Rolls Royce if you want, you know, because they signed over everything to Alfred. Or Alfred took ownership because I think they had to declare Bruce dead, didn't they? So it's just little funny things like that, you know, and it's the same in the second one as well. The two of them have got this interaction when Bruce decides he's going to come clean to save people's lives, and he says something like, I'm going to make sure everybody knows that this was all your idea, Alfred, you know. I'm just paraphrasing, but it's just that great rapport between the two of them, you know, and that's through these great actors, you know. I'm glad they got him. Rutger Hauer's in there as well, John. He's not in it a lot, but his character, Errol, I think it is an absolute shit. He's focused on, obviously, taking over Wayne Enterprises, you know, and kind of side shifting Bruce out the road, you know, and it's just great, you know, and that interaction with Morgan Freeman as well, that hatred between the two characters, you know, that
there's a lot going on in the film, Steve.
There is, John, and it's the way it's handled, you know, it's the way it's handled, and the structurally as well. I like the back and forth, you know, how we get to certain points with Bruce's sort of journey.
Relationship with Rachel. The kid with the sort of well, I think he fell down, and his interaction with the sort of the bats and how he was scared of him, and how he overcame it. That's a theme that you go through with Bruce in these movies, and I think he's always. What I like about these kind of films, Steve, and it's my main criticism of the Star Wars sequel trilogy, no jeopardy for the protagonist. This guy's always facing some sort of fucking mental anguish or physical jeopardy. There's always something in his way, as there should be. In this, he's getting mentally tortured, he's getting physically tortured at times, setting fire, I think, at one point with a sort of test suit. There's so much going on with him. He's always facing adversity and toil. And that's why you bring in an actor like Christian Bale, to be able to convey all that in a really authentic manner. I mean, the guy is a world-class actor. But there is a lot going on in there. You've got the sort of stuff with corruption. He has to step away from the city, doesn't he? He has to move himself out of it at the start, and then also he goes off on this journey and then comes back. You've got the shenanigans with Wayne Enterprise. Obviously, he's operating clandestinely with Lucius in this sort of compartmentalised part of the company, where he's getting access to military-grade equipment and vehicles. Spelunking, exactly. Fucking hell, I've been down a rabbit hole with that the other night again. God, horrendous. Guy caught.
Comments from Sin.
Hey, I'll bring them up. I'm not even get the comments up because I'm not used to reading them now. How's it going? Feels like it's been a while since I've seen you guys. Going to listen in for a bit while I work. I've got to get Charlie Kirk off my mind for a bit. Fuck, I was talking about that, Sin. Jesus, man, that was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. horrific. What a terrible, terrible way to leave your sort of mortal form. Horrendous. Oldman was great in that role. Yeah, it was Air Force One. Yep. Yeah. And he was playing villains up until that point, Gary. He played, obviously, Juan Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg in The Fifth Element. This was a guy who was renowned for playing villains. So for him to play the sort of... I'd say he's almost the moral compass anchor in these films alongside Bruce. He's fucking incorruptible. If that's even the correct word. Uncorruptible. Yeah. It was a really brave choice to cast a guy like Gary Oldman. And obviously you think Killian as well. I mean, I don't think he was as renowned as he is now, coming in as Scarecrow.
28 Days Later.
28 Days, I thought that came out just before, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the only film I saw him in at that point. I would be lying to say I knew he had this established career that I'd followed from, all my life, but certainly I think this was the second film I saw him in after 28 Days Later, which I thought he was fantastic. Carried that film.
When was that out, 28 Days Later? Was that 2003, 4?
I don't know, John. It was close together, I know that, but I'd seen 28 Days Later first before Batman.
I mean, Stephen, again, phenomenal actor and just so memorable. That's the one thing you've got in these three trilogies. You've got, and you should have with a Batman movie, really strong villains. It's something I think DC's always really excelled at over Marvel. They've got brilliant villains. You think this, you've got Ra's al Ghul operating in the shadows. You've got this sort of decoy Raj with the real Raj, obviously, Duke Arnold, Liam Neeson operating as a puppet master in the background. You've got
Arrow, John. He's great.
You've got Arrow, we'll get into it, as a sort of thorn in the flesh in Wayne Enterprises, and then you've got Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow, as a sort of foreground villain. And just some fucking incredible moments with him when I think Bruce has to go over to Arkham and he ends up inhaling that sort of gas, and he's... no, he does inhale it and he gets tortured. But I think it may be... There's one scene in particular where I think it's on the ground in Arkham and he's flying through the sky and the inmates are also out their mind and they look up and they're seeing glowing red eyes and whatnot. It was almost fucking a dark comedy. It was like Planes, Trains and Automobiles. We were talking about John Candy, where you see a demon or a devil suit for a split second and then it's gone. It was kind of like that. So, I mean, he was unbelievable. But Stephen, obviously, like he says, what's explored in this movie fundamentally is Christian Bale's rule that he won't break, he will not take a life, he'll get pretty close, obviously destroys a guy's incredible looking burrito, I think it is, at one point, makes him drop it. I'm still raging when I watch that, because I'm a fucking lover of burritos. I think it was a burrito. He just about shatters every leg in his body, but he doesn't kill him.
This is... it's Eric Roberts in The Dark Knight, isn't it? He drops him.
Oh, I'm thinking about that movie then, I'm tripping. So that's not even this movie. So I'm fucking getting my timelines mixed up.
Yeah, you're talking about Flass, isn't it? The character Flass, who's sort of Jim Gordon's sort of cop sort of partner, but he's corrupt. Yeah, I think it's falafel.
Falafel? Is that what... shit. Yeah. That's fucking rubbish. Then you can get rid of that. I don't mind that. There's nothing wrong with falafel. I don't mind that. I think that's Middle Eastern, isn't it? But obviously you've got Falcone in there. You've got Thomas Wayne. You briefly look at him, Stephen, and you see how that shaped Bruce. That's kind of par for the course in a Batman movie. Obviously Katie Holmes, she does get recast, doesn't she, by Gyllenhaal, isn't it? Maggie Gyllenhaal. Katie's a strange one, Stephen, because when I was growing up, my sister was obsessed with Dawson's Creek. Yeah. And I just wasn't having her as an actor. I didn't take her serious, and even now I don't really take her serious as an actor. I think they'd done a better job recasting her with Maggie Gyllenhaal, who I think is a far superior actor. But she's still serviceable in this.
Yeah. I think she is. I think she serves the role as good as you can go with it. But the character itself was a bit more annoying in the first movie. She was a bit more... She had a lot more to do in The Dark Knight, but certainly
she's
I think
annoying in all of them.
Holmes a superior actor, but I thought Kate Holmes did a good job. This is a character that didn't come out of the comic books. This was created by Chris Nolan, but I think she serves her purpose in the first film. She's that sort of barrier between the law and obviously our superhero. So she does serve that role, and I think it was interesting to get that established relationship early on with Bruce and Rachel when he falls down the well, just to have that bond between the two of them. But at some point in their lives, they've went different directions. They've still got kind of love for each other, but they've went off and did different things. But it's important as well when you get back to the three sides of Bruce. She plays a pivotal role in the sort of grounded version of Bruce, and that character's able to bring that out in him for us to obviously witness. So I think she was serviceable in the first movie, but certainly in the second film, a very important part as well, going forward.
Equally as annoying though, I'd argue, obviously at the end. Don't worry, they'll come for you. Everything will be fine, They are coming for him. They're not coming for you. You're going to die. Don't be so fucking presumptuous. Never trust the Joker. But we'll go on to that, Stephen, because that is obviously one you can speak about for an hour alone, that movie, and what's going on in that, and just how influential that is for me. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, comic book movies ever made. But Stephen, obviously, going back to Liam, some fucking incredible moments in this movie. Obviously, the stuff at the start, to an extent, really impressive. The way he's mentoring Bruce and shaping him into almost being the heir apparent before he kind of fucks off and betrays him in some ways. Yeah. And now that bleeds into the end of the movie. And obviously, the end of the movie, when he reappears at the party, that's one of my all-time favourite Batman scenes. Basically, get rid of them. Yeah. I'm not joking, and then he obviously has to do the drunken speech and calls them all sycophants and whatnot. Come on, out. I'm not joking. You'll probably know the line better than me, Stephen.
It's fantastic, John. It's just a moment in the film that tonally it kind of changes just briefly just because of the situation, but Christian Bale shows a bit of comedic flair, I think, just in that moment. I laugh at it anyway. Yeah. But even Liam Neeson's character kind of laughs at the situation as well, just the way he's handled it. But it's great. I think it's fantastic. And just having that character reappear again, just at the right moment. He's come back for unfinished business with the League of Shadows. And it's very important, that it didn't end there, John. I know we'll go on to Dark Knight Rises, but we revisit, obviously, tonally and obviously from a narrative as well. We do revisit Liam Neeson's character again, which is a big part to play in the third film, which is fantastic.
Absolutely, and obviously, Stephen, the ending, where you see this sort of rule that he has in place and played out to its fullest extent, where I think he says to him, something about, I don't have to kill you, I won't kill you, but that doesn't mean I have to save you. I've not seen this in a long time, I have to stress. I need to get back and watch this trilogy. It's been a long time since I've watched this. So I'm kind of operating spontaneously here. We're off script and I'm relying on my memory, which is usually pretty decent. Probably should have, Stephen, when we put this together last minute, we're trying to think of podcast topics to speak about. Ideally, I'd have went back and rewatched the whole trilogy, then it would have been incredibly fresh in my mind.
I mean, as you said, it was last minute, John, but it's only because it's, we're trying to establish two different shows. We're trying to do a news show and we're trying to do a podcast. So it has to be something that we can talk about at great length. And I thought, well, I think we could talk for maybe 2 or 3 hours on this subject. Not that we're going into it, folks, but certainly there's enough material here to talk about. And obviously, in retrospect from the reviews that we did 5 years ago, we did a lot of retro reviews because of COVID. We weren't getting to the cinema, so we had to do a lot of stuff that we'd already seen and it was fresh in our heads. And also, these reviews have been written on our website as well. So this is about, obviously, the legacy of these films, John, as well, and the sort of everlasting effect it had on comic book cinema in a whole. But certainly going forward, its sort of effect on the likes of the Snyderverse, I think it did have a lot of effect on it. Chris Nolan was obviously a producer on those films as well. That doesn't mean it was a positive thing, John, because Batman is the perfect superhero for Chris Nolan to deal with. That's why Chris Nolan's not done any more superhero films. He's done and dusted.
Yeah, because Steve, he's almost not. I mean, it goes back to this old argument about Batman. Is he even a superhero? And I'd always argue that he's not a superhero. He's a human,
It's like Tony Stark.
grounded guy who's got access to incredible wealth, which then gives him the opportunity to have all this gadgetry and incredible technology and vehicles at his sort of disposal, and that then enables him to do incredible things. But he himself is not a superhero. He's a vigilante trying to keep law and order in a deeply lawless city. So that, like you said, kind of aligns perfectly with Nolan and what he likes to do. Really intelligent and sort of thinking person's kind of movies. I mean, you think of the other movies he's done. You mentioned Memento and Insomnia and obviously Inception and all these other movies. Tenet, to an extent. I know a lot of people didn't like that. He's always a deep thinker, Nolan. He's always putting a lot of depth into the movies, and he certainly does that here. And I think that's unique because I don't think since then, and certainly before, we ever had anything as close to this in terms of gritty, realistic, deep, interesting, intelligent storytelling getting carried out in a comic book movie. Obviously, we've seen with Logan that hit in a different way, where it was dark and there was stuff going on in there with obviously Xavier with the dementia and how that impacted on Logan and also where he was in a dark place. That was exploring something different in a comic book movie, but I don't think we've ever quite came close to what Nolan accomplished with this trilogy. This is a proper like critic kind of trilogy, and it just so happens to be that it's a superhero or comic book, because I don't think he's a superhero sort of setting. It's almost incidental.
John,
He's not. I mean,
you could have took the same story, and made other characters, and it would have, obviously apart from some, high performing weaponry, and things like that, it could have played out just as a human story as well. I think that's the most important thing about Chris Nolan's filmography, is that it's all human stories, and there's always an underlying social message in there. There's also a moral message in there as well. He does that quite a bit in The Dark Knight. I think the sort of moral side of, the flip side of both Bruce Wayne and the Joker, and Harvey Dent as well. And I think just those three characters in that middle part of the story plays out that way from a sort of moral narrative.
Yeah. I think this is a good time to get into The Dark Knight then, Stephen. For me, the greatest superhero. I'm going to put my neck out and say this is the greatest superhero. Comic book, because I keep saying superhero, he's not a fucking... Batman is not a superhero. The greatest comic book movie ever made. I genuinely think it is the greatest. And then I've put in the thumbnail, is it still influential? For me, this trilogy and this movie in particular will always be influential. There's elements of it that I have dated because it was a long time ago now. 17 years ago. Technology isn't what it was. Obviously, you've got fantastical stuff going on in there, still grounded in reality. They actually built the motorbike. It was a practical thing that they could actually sit on.
I love that.
The Tumbler,
love that.
sort of Batmobile, is an armoured military vehicle set in reality. Even the helicopter thing in The Dark Knight Rises. They're all kind of fantastical, but they're actually still grounded and could happen in a real world setting, which is another thing I really loved. It's not to say I hate on the other Batmobiles. I had them as kids. Fucking loved them. Big stupid jet engine type stuff going on, I think, in the Kilmer one. This is what happens when you drink beer and you're coming off a long shift and you're probably surviving on 5 hours sleep. Sucker that. You start having slips into the Glaswegian slang, and I'm already hard to understand, so I'm acutely aware that I need to be switched on here. But Stephen, obviously, the way that they explored The Dark Knight was really interesting. You mentioned Heath Ledger, you mentioned Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne. They're almost like manifestations of, I mean, I'm going to call Bruce good here. I mean, I think he's ambiguous, to say the least. But yeah, it's still fundamentally good. Joker's a sort of wild, maverick, what's the word I'm looking for? Anarchist. He's evil, and obviously Harvey Dent is supposed to be this sort of incorruptible figure, but he does get corrupted at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert if you've not seen it. He's almost between the two, fighting. So the way that he uses these sort of three characters throughout to tell a story about Gotham and how it corrupts the individuals within, and how you've got this sort of anarchistic figure coming in, almost doing a social experiment, proving that humans are deeply selfish beings, which they are, by the way. He was absolutely fucking right. I agree with the Joker. Don't agree with his methods, but I agree with the premise of what he was saying. Really interesting. Again, obviously dark, twisted, rapid paced. So much going on in there. So many great scenes. Fucking costume design is brilliant. Just really clever, Stephen, this film. And I think that's why it remains, and its influence remains, because it is so clever, it's timeless, the themes that have been explored, and the performance from Heath Ledger is just ridiculous. I remember when this guy got cast, Stephen, and you'll remember it as well. People were up in arms. They were losing their minds, getting off their fucking heads on message boards at the time. I loved Heath. One of my guilty pleasures back in the day was 10 Things I Hate About You. And he was the best thing in that movie. I loved Heath. I didn't have him as Joker until I seen it, but I still loved the actor.
John, I wouldn't say, when they announced it, I was like, let's get to work. It was nothing like that. I just thought, okay. But I'm old enough to remember the backlash from Michael Keaton, John. So, I took it with a pinch of salt because at that point, I'd only seen a couple of Michael Keaton films and they were comedies. They were very light. So I was, I had that concern even when, I was 13, 14. I was like, okay. But it hadn't been anything before, so you couldn't really compare. Obviously, with this, people were still in the Jack Nicholson frame of mind of Joker, who was fantastic, John. Loved Jack. But that's the problem Heath had. He had to take it in another direction, away from the Uncle Jack sort of portrayal of the Joker. And it didn't. It was just tragic, what happened to him after this film. And he never got to see, obviously, the reception of his performance either. But
he must have known, though, Stephen. See, when you've got Michael Caine coming onto the set and he's visibly shook.
Christian Bale, I think, has spoke since, and they would have had conversations on set, like you said, in terms of, wow, man, that was incredible. That the interrogation scene.
First scene they shot.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And can you imagine that? Amazing. Those two actors on their absolute A-game in that scene. That's the first scene you shoot in the movie. Fuck me, talk about starting with a bang. They must have thought, yes, man. It's almost like that interview that Russell Crowe gave about working with Ridley Scott in Gladiator, where he gave him a very clear instruction. There's going to be this little butterfly, I think it is, that lands on this little bush in front of you. You're looking on, thinking deeply about what's happening, and you look at that and it flies away and you smile, and he goes and nails it first take, and Ridley comes up to him and says, we're going to be fucking great together. That must have been what they were like after shooting that. Him, those three, Nolan and obviously Bale and Ledger, they must have realised very early doors, we've got something really special here, because Heath, Stephen...
There's another great story, that came from that film. It was from Michael Caine. He had not seen Heath Ledger in makeup or anything like that, or performance at this point, and it was the scene where tonight's entertainment, that scene, the sort of, I think it's a fundraiser for Harvey, isn't it?
Yeah.
In that apartment block, and when Heath, or the Joker, comes through the elevators and the doors opened, they've actually captured Michael Caine's genuine reaction. He was taken aback by just the sheer look.
It's a veteran.
That's a thing that we probably should talk about, is the makeup, and Heath's appearance, because it was certainly something different.
People forget how tall Heath Ledger was. This guy was like 6'2". He was a genuinely big guy. You imagine him in that makeup, giving that performance, very method performance. That would have scared the shit out of you. No danger. He was a big guy. And obviously, Stephen, the look is iconic. You look at the suit, the purple suit, even down to the pattern. Everything about these movies is just exquisite. The production quality, the costume design, the choice for the actual suit, and the process he goes through in Batman Begins, and the evolution of the technology to where he is at the end of the movie. Obviously, he's getting a shit kicked out of him in the end as well by Bane. But everything's
It's
just
his line.
detailed.
His line delivery was taken from Tom Waits, wasn't it?
Yep.
If you've ever
He
heard Tom
combined it with
Waits,
another guy.
who doesn't know who Tom Waits is, but if you ever listen to Tom Waits in any interviews or anything like that, you know that's where Heath has uplifted that from. And again, it's just those little sort of key ingredients for the performance, you know. Who else would have thought of doing that, you know? Sort of portraying that sort of line delivery that you would get. And the voice as well, you know.
He had
But
a
the voice
notebook,
was
didn't he?
very important because there was moments where his voice lowered. Look at me, it was, wasn't it? He said.
That was a
No,
fact.
and
Imposter.
yeah, just terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, because I mean, he was almost this. Obviously, the first indication we get Joker is going to be appearing is obviously when Gordon says to Bruce at the end of Batman Begins, he's got a love for theatrics or something like that. And we kind of get that in the movie for the most part. This is a guy that's kind of living on edge, doesn't really give a shit. He's almost like doing Deadpool stuff before Deadpool was doing it without breaking the fourth wall. He's still very much in a serious environment, but it's one thing I always loved about Joker, and I still love, even in the comic books, he's almost aware that he's in a comic book.
Yeah.
He's so intelligent and switched on. He's always 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 steps ahead of everybody. And he's usually light-hearted in the way that he's going about it because he knows that he's got everyone in the palm of his hands and he's playing with them like a fucking puppet master. Yeah. But there is moments, Stephen, where he does let the mask slip and you get genuinely terrifying stuff going on in there. Yeah. 3 different kind of stories I think he tells about how he got the scars, really dark, twisted. Like you said, that one with the imposter, where he's kind of laughing and he says, "Look at me." And it's fucking woofed.
Yeah,
want to be there. So, I mean, there's just so much elements in the performance. It's a legendary performance, like you, Stephen. Just deeply sad that you never got to see the acclaim that you got. I think to this day, still
John,
the only guy
crazy
to win an Academy Award for a comic book role.
Yeah.
And I think you may be the only one ever.
You think about that, you know, and I do think back to that time, and I remember, I think I was still awake. I don't know what time it was, but it was very early in the morning here in the UK when the news broke, and I must have been on Twitter or something at the time. I can't remember. I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it had passed. A young guy. You know, I don't know what age he was.
28, I think, 27, 28. He was young.
Such a young age, you know. But for him to give the performance of his life, it kind of annoys me, John, because what would have came after this, you know. I don't mean The Dark Knight Rises, which I know that there was talk about him appearing in the third film, but I mean his career as a whole, what he would have went on to have done, because this was him just at the sort of the tipping point for him to go, you know, in terms of actors, you know, the likes of like DiCaprio, you know, that sort of level of acting, you know, and he was just at that tipping point at that moment, you know. So it's so sad.
It's always tragic, Stephen, when someone's cut down their prime, and you know they've got so much to give to the world, and it's lost like that. So I mean, certainly we got that, and obviously the nature of it, but it was, I think, a concoction of sleeping pills. It was an accident.
Yeah,
just completely tragic. But what a performance Stephen he delivers in this. He makes the entire movie for me. Just the cat and mouse chase with Bruce, the interrogation scene's one of my all-time favourite scenes in any movie. Just the way he's speaking. They'll cast you out like a leper. Never start with the head. The head. The victim gets all fuzzy and they can't feel the next hit. See? Just so many great lines and just the little... what's the word I'm looking for? Micro sort of expressions he's delivering when Bruce is beating the shit out of him. And he kind of smiles and does a little sadistic laugh at him. It's just fucking incredible. The level of performance between these two actors is unbelievable. And there's so much more going on, Stephen, in the movie. That's the thing. It's not just these two. Gary Oldman is next level in this as well. He's really grappling with the extent of the corruption and the police, and obviously there's people getting targeted. He, I think, gets promoted to commissioner. Commissioner. You've got obviously David Dismalkin in there for a brief moment, delivers one of the all-time performances in a sort of comic book movie. I mean, you're talking a 5-minute sequence here. He's playing this schizophrenic character. that projects him onto a career that I'm sure he wouldn't have had. And Aaron Eckhart is Harvey Dent, and again, just a fucking incredible performance. Another look at Two-Face that I'd never seen.
Yeah, I don't know if Nolan. Yeah, obviously Nolan will have the final say, but I don't know if there was a casting director, but whoever it was that decided to, they saw something in Heath Ledger, you know, that was different.
I have to move my guitar here, Stephen.
And also, you know, as you mentioned, Aaron Eckhart. I hadn't seen him in anything, John. I've seen him in many films since, but his portrayal of Harvey Dent in this was fantastic, and it added to that sort of love triangle as well between Rachel and Bruce, and obviously having Harvey in there as well. You know, there was a moment in the first movie where Rachel says, you know, when Gotham doesn't need Batman anymore, then we can be together, and that kind of played into this as well. You know, that Rachel was sort of getting pulled between both these men, who, in terms of morals, were very similar.
Yeah.
You know, and I like, because you never sensed that Bruce was jealous of the relationship between Harvey and Rachel at this point.
What I think he was jealous about, Stephen, sorry for cutting in, is that I think he was jealous of the bravery of Harvey. Bruce had to operate under a mask at night to make the place a safer environment and obviously be this morally just character. During the day, he was always seen as this sort of cocky, arrogant billionaire, sort of playboy figure, whereas Harvey was very much operating full daylight, unmasked, and still this sort of morally just character until the latter stages of the movie. I think he envied the sort of bravery and the open book that was Harvey Dent in this movie.
Yeah. John, but it's the whole, it's the breakdown of the Joker's main intent in this film. It wasn't to have a scrap with Batman. He says it. I think it's when they're in that sort of last scene on the edge of the sort of construction, the building.
What would I do?
He says that. Do you think I was going to lose Gotham in a fist fight with you or something like that? Wasn't it? That was the line.
Yeah.
You know, so it was all about bringing Harvey down to their level, corrupting him. And he succeeded in doing that. You know, and it plays right into The Dark Knight Rises as well, because Jim Gordon's carrying that burden of the truth that, you know, Harvey Dent was the villain at the end. It wasn't Batman. But, John, it's fantastic just the way that these films link together. It's, you know, we talked about doing, when we did the review 5 years, and we always said it is quite an isolated film. But when you watch them back to back, you see those links in there. Particularly with the last two, rather than, it's funny that the third film, I know it doesn't get as much praise, but the third film links into the first film and it links into the second film, whereas the first film and the second film don't really have too much of a connection other than that scene at the end with the Joker card. Everything else after that, it kind of comes full circle, if you like, by the time we get to Dark Knight Rises.
I think that was obviously forced with Heath passing away, Stephen. I think they would have combined the character, they would have involved the character in A Dark Knight Rises in some way. I think they were wanting to use archive footage, but they didn't get the blessing of obviously the Ledger estate, so they're going to use it in some way in Arkham. So I think they would have definitely, it would have been a different conclusion to the trilogy if Heath hadn't passed away in the tragic circumstances he did. But Stephen, I liked the way that they handled getting into the third movie in the sort of League of Shadows. They were operating in the background throughout.
Yeah.
Also, they showed their hand at the end of Batman Begins, but it makes sense that they would move, is it Talia al Ghul in?
Yeah.
Marilyn Cotillard without even looking. Marion Cotillard. Yeah. Much better performance, unlike that fucking god-awful Abomination with Brad Pitt. I'm blanking on the name of it. I think it is
I can't remember,
Zemeckis. I think it was Robert Zemeckis done that movie.
Yeah,
Allied.
A review of it. Yeah.
Fucking hated that movie, and I should have loved it because I love everyone involved. It just didn't work for me. But no, I think they joined the dots pretty well, Stephen. One thing that always struck me with this movie, and again, you talk about intelligent storytelling, and you talk about using Batman as this sort of comic book hero, superhero figure, and making him gritty and realistic and human, and having human struggles. I've always thought, Stephen, I don't know if you agree with me on this, the one continuing theme is Bruce being willing to sacrifice something throughout for the greater good. Obviously, in Batman Begins, he sacrifices almost his personal freedom and sort of, what is the word I'm looking for? Autonomy. To become this vigilante, he gives up a huge part of his life to keep Gotham safe. He has to go away from the city that he loved. He loses his parents as a young kid. So much going on. He so much sacrificed. The Dark Knight, he sacrifices his love and Rachel because he has to go and save Harvey Dent. I think he was trying to save Rachel, to be fair, but still, he almost has to give her up to Harvey in many ways because he just, I don't know, for whatever reason, obviously he's Batman, he has to do the thing that he does. And then in The Dark Knight Rises, also the cliffhanger, did he survive, didn't he survive? He may, if you're twisted and dark and get a really glass half full outlook in life, you may say that he performs the ultimate sacrifice at the end of that movie by flying out with a nuclear bomb and fucking ending his life. So, sacrifice. Obviously, he's broken his body against this powerful force in Bane, and he has to go off and find himself in this prison. You know, so it's sacrifice.
As much as the second film was very cerebral, and you don't get any more sort of cerebral than as a villain that is than the Joker. You know, when we went into that third film, you know, the sheer brute force of you know, Tom Hardy, Tom Hardy's character, I should say, Bane. There's still it's a physical thing because obviously it'd been 10 years since obviously the events of the second film. So we had an older Bruce Wayne that had issues with joints and a knee issue and a hip issue, you know. So it was kind of broken and battered, and there was a physical element to that in terms of, you know, Bane's this very heavy muscled guy, you know, and it's all about brute force with him. But he got into Bruce Wayne's head to the point where Bruce psychologically couldn't get out of that pit. It wasn't just a physical thing, it was a psychological thing.
It was a line, though,
so
Stephen.
He really did get in his head, you know, and it's such a great sequence.
Yeah, I mean, that was a phenomenal sort of sequence that spread out over the whole middle part of the film, where he tried to get out of there, and he couldn't do it until he was mentally ready. And the way that they sort of framed it, were you thinking it was Bane, when it was Talia? I'm fucking insane in the membrane here. But it's actually Talia. Showing that obviously this much weaker, physically weaker and smaller individual had to use incredible mental fortitude to get out of this horrendous environment that she was in. What's that?
Did you see that twist?
I did not see that twist coming a million miles away, Stephen. And as you recall, because I was sitting next to you in the theatre, I was raging that the way that Bane was cast aside like a piece of shit in this. He was this big, powerful, imposing figure. I understand why they'd done it, because ultimately he was a puppet. He was a sort of frontman for the League of Shadows, and Talia was the ultimate villain, playing just like her father before her, this sort of puppet master figure, operating clandestinely, playing the long game. So it made sense from a character standpoint that she would just come in and take over. He was just the sort of brawn to her brains. But I was raging the way that they cast that character aside, because he was so impressive, Tom, in the way that he did. Obviously nowhere near Heath in the performance that he delivered, but still almost impossible to step into those shoes playing the villain in the next instalment after an Academy Award-winning performance. Fucking record-breaking performance.
It's a tough one, you know, and I always remember before that third film came out, I went, I'd be happy for this just to finish as a duology. It's enough. I think they've really made it a perfect two-film story here. But The Dark Knight Rises is a great film, John. It is. It's really good. And I know Sin mentions, obviously, in the comment section, which we'll touch on a wee more, in terms of Tom Hardy's performance, you know, and he's a great actor, John. I know you're a massive fan of Tom Hardy.
I mean, I've been watching Tom for years, Stephen, since Band of Brothers. So many great movies.
The strength of the cast in the first and second film, it's very much the same again, John. Anne Hathaway's in there. You've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You know, Matthew Modine, and obviously Ben Mendelsohn's in there. So, I mean, it's another strong cast. But
The
yeah, I
Wolf's
mean,
not in here.
do you want to talk about Sin's comments here?
Yeah, I'll read them. Yeah, I've seen them. I was just trying to get a break because I just can't shut the fuck up. As Sin knows, because we were on her channel and I just could not shut up at all. I love the sound of my own voice. I get told
We've
that a
never been
lot.
asked back.
People often ask if I get a nervous disposition because I can't shut up. No, I just love speaking. I can't shut up. I remember not being so sure about Keaton. Yeah, when casting the role as Batman, but never really had a doubt about Heath Ledger being cast as Joker. I loved Heath back in the day, man. Obviously playing a completely different character, but I was aware of him as an actor and how charismatic he was and the presence he had on the screen, so I had no doubt that he could put his mind to it. And obviously when you've got a guy like Nolan, renowned for making correct choice. I'm not saying he's involved in the casting. He's probably involved in some way, but you have got a casting director. That guy doesn't make a lot of missteps when it comes to casting actors. You think of his movies over the years, and there's not many you'd think that was wrong. I wouldn't have put Robin Williams in that movie. I wouldn't have put, I don't fucking know off the top of my head here, even Harry Styles in Dunkirk. He made a fucking pop star, a middling pop star, look good in a historical World War II drama. So you've got to trust the process. And certainly he paid it off, man. He paid him back many, many ways with that performance. And obviously, like I said, he had a fucking notebook. The guy was studying the character and delving deep into the psyche.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously saw that in Robert Pattinson as well in Tenet. I thought he was a great character, Matt. You know, and at that point, that was prior to the Batman, wasn't it? So I hadn't really seen a lot of Robert Pattinson movies. I think perhaps maybe I don't know if I'm misremembering, but I don't know if I watched Tenet before The Lighthouse. I can't remember which came out first.
Oh, Robert Steen's went on a journey, I tell you, since Twilight and Harry Potter. He has worked with some insane directors and went down the rabbit hole and really done brilliant roles. I mean, you've got to tip your hat to that guy. He's went down the sort of Leonardo DiCaprio route. He's the heartthrob coming
No
up.
one saw that. You know, again, as you said, John, he saw that potential, you know, to utilise what had probably been an actor that was pigeonholed into certain genres. You know, and for him to... Neil was a character. I don't know why I remember that. I just remember that he was a great character in Tenet. Tenet was a good film. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but
I loved it.
I thought it was a great film.
Loved the Zimmer score. It's that actual scene when he meets Neil. Well, not for the first time, but for the first time when we see it. Sits down and he orders him a Diet Pepsi or something. Or he orders him a drink. And he's like, how did you know that? And it's just, there's so much, this is what I love about Nolan, man. There's so much depth. You watch the movies, like you said, Steve, with Memento. You watch the movies once, you think you've got it, and then you go back and watch them a half a dozen times, and there's just something new every time you watch it. He's such a clever writer and director, and the performances he gets out of actors is second to none.
I've only watched Oppenheimer twice.
I've never seen Oppenheimer. That's the only one I've not seen. I need to fucking watch it. I just
can't.
can't.
On the fence about it. I don't know what it is. I think I'm going to have to maybe watch it another few times. It's not complicated or anything like that, but certainly with any Nolan film, it's got rewatchability. But is it my favourite? Perhaps not. I know that obviously it did very well in terms of awards and obviously box office and, you know, just perception, you know, from the public, but reception, from the public. But I don't know. It's not one of my favourites. It's a good film, but it's not in my top 3 Chris Nolan films.
I mean, that's another question for another day, Christ. What's your top 3 Nolan films? Fucking hell. I don't know if I could pick. That's like asking what's the best Beatles song.
Yeah, well,
impossible, isn't it? I know that The Dark Knight Rises is probably the weaker in the trilogy, but I really like Tom Hardy's. I mean, I love that line he delivers. There's quite a few. Perhaps he's thinking, why shoot a man before throwing him from a plane? That's not the one I'm thinking about, though. I'm thinking about the fight sequence when he meets Bane for the first time and gets the proverbial shit kicked out of him. I think he says to him...
You adopted the dark, or something
that's a totally different one. Yeah, you adopted the dark, merely adopted the dark. I fucking was born in it or something. I'm thinking about the line where he says, I was wondering what would break first. Your mind or your body? It's just the delivery. It's the delivery and just the supreme confidence. He knew he was going to battle the shit out of him, and he did. He sent him off to purgatory. And then he gets out with a fucking like a bum, thanks to Selena Kyle. That's another one, by the way. Selena Kyle. I mean, I totally forgot about her. She pops up, doesn't she? Anne Hathaway. Really good in the role. Never really had any exploration of her moving forward. That was something a lot of people spoke about. Could they continue on with obviously Joseph Gordon-Levitt and maybe Hathaway continuing off telling stories? Maybe not with Nolan, but with somebody else directing. They never done it. And I'm kind of glad they didn't, because it's Nolan's story. Keep it self-contained. Not everything has to be a fucking universe.
There's a part of me, John, that thinks that was set up for the Snyderverse, having those two characters bleed into it.
Oh,
not Batman, but
for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not, but I just bringing Chris Nolan on as a producer was a kind of weird thing to do, I think.
No, it was. No, but Tom Hardy's performance was great.
Zack Snyder had already done superhero films, comic book films before then with The Watchmen, so I don't know what that was about. I don't know if it was maybe a contractual thing with Warner Brothers or whatever, I don't know.
Or they just thought, this guy knows what he's doing, look what he's produced. Let's bring him in to keep Zack in check, in case he gets a little bit ahead of himself and starts trying to strip naked on the set or whatnot and getting weird shit going. I don't know. I'm just making things up here. I don't know what I'm saying here. Did Bruce really choose to save Harvey? No, did he? Fuck's in. I think we both know the answer to that. Not a chance. Joker played him like a fiddle.
There is a line. I think it's when one of them's at such and such and one's at the other.
Yeah.
And Gary Oldman,
Joseph
Gordon asks Batman, who are you going for? And he says, Rachel. So it's kind of explained in that moment. So, but obviously he deliberately... John, it's interesting, that part. I know we're going back to the middle film as well, but just because we're talking about that, it's interesting that the Joker would send... He would give him the wrong sort of locations for the two characters. But I think that was Joker's sort of sadistic way of proving that even Batman's corrupted.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
He chooses a personal moment there to save Rachel rather than, it doesn't really matter who you go for. You've got to save one of them. You can't be in two places at once. He consciously picks Rachel because he loves Rachel. Is that a selfish thing?
Absolutely. Stephen, that was a constant theme with Joker. He was trying to show the darkness within everybody. Everyone's corruptible. And he obviously gets foiled with the prisoner thing. At the end, the whole stuff on the ships, his whole world comes crumbling down. He gets proven wrong. By the way, in real life, that he would not have been proven wrong. Mark my words, those prisoners would have been fucking gone. Believe me, they would have been gone. He's absolutely right. I'm telling you, Joker was on the money. People are like lepers. They will cast you out like a leper, and then when the chips are down, they will definitely eat each other. Spot on. We've seen that with COVID. Fuck me. 50 packs of toilet roll. Bitch, even if it is the bubonic plague, and it wasn't, but even if it fucking was, it's a respiratory condition. Why are you buying 50 rolls of toilet paper? Fucking madness. People are arseholes. That's why I prefer dogs. I've only seen Oppenheimer once and I have no desire to watch it again. I've never seen it. Never got around to watching it. It's too fucking long, man. I'm sorry. Really interesting figure. I would have loved to. That's one thing I'm kind of holding off. I've not even looked it up. I want to see the sort of practical nuclear bomb going off. That's one thing I've not seen. I know we didn't let a nuke off, but I think it was practical. It's always practical with Christopher. But I just can't bring myself to watch the film for whatever reason. I'm just not about it. And I don't think I'm ever going to watch it. It's too long. And I love Cillian Murphy. I could never finish it. I fucking loved it. Went and seen it twice in the theatre. I loved it. Just loved the film. Something about it, the energy. And obviously your man, John David Washington.
Yeah, fantastic.
Was brilliant. As the protagonist. Not brilliant, they didn't give him a name, but he didn't need to. And obviously your man, Kenneth Branagh, playing an arsehole Russian villain. Just great. I really enjoyed it, but it's all subjective. Was not crazy about Dunkirk. I mean, I think it's different for us because we're from the British Isles and what that represented. I mean, it was a failure of an operation, but it really embodied the spirit at the time, which was so important moving forward, because that spirit and just the way that the whole sort of folk, ordinary people got together and saved all those soldiers off the beach house, so that proved pivotal moving forward, because they were able to regather their sort of forces and go back over and give a Jerry a good old kicking, you know, as they like to say back in the day, along with the Soviets and the Yanks, which also you are, son. I wasn't too crazy about Hathaway's Catwoman. I don't feel like she was a good choice or convincing. I mean, she's not fucking, what's her face? Not even Hailey Berry, the other one. I'm blanking on her name. Bond.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer. She's not Michelle Pfeiffer, is she? Let's be honest. I mean, that is Catwoman. I mean, Stephen, she was that.
I don't think she's ever referred to as Catwoman in the film, but I mean, obviously the sort of visuals are there. You know that I think some of the newspaper clippings say cat burglar. Those little visors that she would put on top of her head made little cat ears, that kind of thing. But obviously, the character Selena Kyle we know is Catwoman anyway. But they didn't make it on the nose in this film. Again, it's just one of those little Nolan things, isn't it? To, you know, sort of put a nod in there to the comic books, but not be too obvious about it. John, do you know something? I'm just because we're moving on to The Dark Knight Rises, or we've been talking about it. I've got IMDb up, and it's actually showing me Glenn Powell being interviewed. As we know, he's appearing in the next Running Man film.
Really looking forward to that.
He was actually in The Dark Knight Rises as he was getting his shoes polished. He was a trader, and I've always said that he
was that before the heist.
Yeah.
He
looks like your man, the Irish fella, Aidan Gillen.
Aidan Gillen, yeah.
And both of them are in this film.
Aidan Gillen's a little rat in it,
I didn't know he was in this.
And you think this gives you power? Well, it doesn't. Because he gets his back snapped like a little bitch. He always plays little bitch characters, Aidan. He's not that small a guy, by the way. I think he's reasonable. But he always plays these little weasel figures. And he does it again in that movie. Stephen, there's one thing about The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, I love Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and what Blake's all right in it. Obviously, he's fucking Nightwing. He's sort of cooler version of Robin. They're setting that up for him, sort of carrying the baton moving forward. But I don't know, man. Every time you introduce even some kind of version of a Robin in there, it just fills me with dread. I'm immediately like, oh, don't know about that.
James Gunn's going to be doing this, Yeah,
it just gives me the bulk. And obviously Marion Cotillard, man, as Miranda. We kind of spoke about it, Stephen. Talia Al Ghul, she comes in.
There's only one moment, John, that I can't stand in this film with her, and it's her death. The way she kind of goes like this. It's terrible. It's fucking awful. I remember watching it first time. Oh, that's terrible.
Certainly when you're in a fucking movie with Gary Oldman, and he's been on the likes of, I think it was Colbert or something like that back in the day, showing you how to die with grace. He's literally showing you, this is how you do it. You mumble and you do this. Leave the eyes open when you pass. There's just no need for that ever. You're walking with pros.
John, there's a line from Commissioner Gordon in that film I always love. It's so corny, you know. If you think that we are going out in that ice...
Oh, yeah, I mean, that whole sequence was great.
You've got another thing coming. It's just...
Okay, we sent you to death by Exile.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy's great in that, man. Just sitting on that kind of like paper throne. He's such a good actor, man. He's just got this way about him. For a smallish guy, he carries so much presence and commands your eyeballs when he's on the screen. And it was just great to see him back again, the sort of connective tissue to the first movie, Stephen. We do get Liam in this, don't we? Neeson.
Yeah, briefly, yeah.
We get him as a sort of flashback, kind of other real form. Just the way they connected the dots, Stephen, it's really clever. Again, I've been shitting on J.J. Abrams for a long time now, over his handling of the sequel trilogy. I've been calling him a little fucking shitebag. And he is a little shitebag. He's both small in stature and he's a shitebag. So that ticks the boxes for being a little shitebag. This is how you do it, JJ. This is how you start something. You go off-piste in the middle movie. Okay, you didn't do the middle movie. It was Ryan Johnson, little round-headed fool. He did it. But this is how you regather your thoughts and bring it all back together. This is how clever, proper filmmakers work. Take notes, JJ. Stop rebooting fucking franchises and then shitting the bed and running away and allowing people to do your dirty work after you. Thankfully, Christopher McQuarrie kinda cleaned up in Mission Impossible. Lost, never watched it, can't talk, but by all accounts a fucking dumpster fire at the end. It's a recurring theme. The Star Trek movie started all right, went off a cliff because he ran away, little shite bag. This is how you do it, and he done a great job of connecting the dots and bringing us back on to the message, Stephen, which is, again, he won't kill anybody for his sort of failings and his mistakes. He obviously takes on a personal responsibility for bringing this mess to Gotham and allowing it to happen with this nuclear bomb, and he feels he has to take it away. And also we get this classic Nolan ambiguous ending. Did he survive? Didn't he survive? The autopilot was on. Obviously, Alfred sees him. Is it a dream? Is it not? I think it was real. I think he did see him. I think he switched the autopilot on.
I think all the clues are there because they inserted the scene about the autopilot thing being disabled, which they didn't have to do. They could have left that out and just, as you said, left it up in there. But the fact that they put that in with obviously Morgan Freeman's character, just to establish, Bruce Wayne deactivated the autopilot a few months ago, which is telling you, well, there's no way he could have flew that out there without, obviously, or activated it. I can't remember what the situation. But I think it was just to sort of.
I think he says deactivate, but I think they show you that it was on. I think they do a little glance, and I think it's on. I don't know. I may be wrong. I think he survived though. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I've got no doubt about it. Yeah, but it's a great scene, John. Just I think it because of, and we haven't spoke about Michael Caine in this film. I think it was some of the best acting from Michael Caine we saw.
To want to bury another Batman,
yeah. And just the parting of ways, and then they come together again at the very end. It's just a nod.
Yeah.
That's I'm living a normal life now. I've achieved that goal, and Alfred's that's all he ever wanted from Bruce was for him to have a normal life. So I thought it was a good ending.
He said that, didn't he? He had a recurring dream where he'd see him free of all the nonsense, sitting there happy. And also we do get that at the end. Stephen, it was a great ending. The trilogy is highly influential for me, just from a wide variety of viewpoints. I mean, just the filmmaking, the performances he ekes out, what it did for the comic book genre. I personally think it set up the foundations for the MCU and whatnot moving forward. I mean, I know it came out in 2005, Batman Begins. Dark Knight came out in 2008, same time as Iron Man. I'm not saying that it's responsible for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because obviously, I think it was, was it Favreau that done Iron Man? And obviously Feige, they had blueprints.
Yeah.
But I think it made comic books in the minds of the general audience more acceptable. I mean, I'm maybe talking shit here. Spider-Man was massive back in the day. Yeah. And obviously the X-Men were up and down. I just think it was so wildly successful, and it just came at the right point. And then we get Marvel kicking on from it at the same time. It was like zeitgeist moment. So for me, it just meant and just like I says, the quality of filmmaking is so high. I mean, we're criticising Dark Knight Rises as not being on the level, but Batman Begins and Dark Knight are fucking, for me, 9.5, 10 out of 10 movies. Yeah. So you're here. It's really difficult to sustain that over a trilogy. That's why there's not many.
8.4 out of 10 on IMDb, which is a high rating. For a film, it's not
fucking excellent film.
So it's still a great film, yeah. It's a really good film.
And it proved that you can take a comic book story and do something different. Again, you could almost say that this laid down the foundations for Todd Phillips making the Joker movie, where you take this concept of a superhero or a villain in a comic book story and you make it more gritty, realistic and serious and turn it on its head. Not everything has to be campy, multi-demographic, high spirits, big fucking blockbuster, Michael Bay bollocks. You can do something artsy with it. You can get a proper director. I'm not saying Joel Schumacher. That is his name. Fuck me. Pint of Erdinger down me and I'm losing my mind. I'm not saying he's a bad director, but you can get a proper director like Christopher Nolan to do these.
Well, I think, John, that's the main reason is successful because we never heard any studio interference
No.
for this trilogy at all. You know, you've got to trust your director, and I'm not saying they didn't trust Joel Schumacher, but I think there was just too much commercialisation in the Schumacher films. Execs getting involved, wanting their relatives having parts in the films. There was too much interference for those early Batman films, and that's just going back to obviously when Batman Begins comes out. I was sick of the franchise at that point, and it would take a long time. 7 years isn't a long time, between those two films, but contrast and quality in terms of the film, night and day.
Yeah, I mean, was it the Clooney one?
Yeah.
Oh, God, horrendous. Fucking back nipples and back credit cards and Schwarzenegger going on about what killed the dinosaurs, the Ice Age. Did it? Fuck, it was a meteorite. Oh, the Yucatan Peninsula. What are you talking about? You're talking about your clown.
Don't slag Arnold Schwarzenegger when Sin's in.
Why?
She'll not have it.
I love Arnie. I'm not slagging him. I absolutely love Arnie. You talk about my childhood growing up watching that guy. I absolutely fucking adore Arnold. The guy keeps goats. Pretty sure it's a goat as a pet. So, no, I mean, I love Arnie. Yeah, Arnie's great.
Yeah.
Stephen again, Jolly. Great channel. We watch, two English guys sort of interview celebrities, and they do things with their cuisine and they compare it to British cuisine. Arnie is all about strudel and stuff like that, and loves his grub.
He's proud.
So,
he's proud of his Austrian.
As he should be. Austria is a fantastic country. Incredible scenery. Probably second only to Scotland.
Have you seen his house in Austria?
It's fucking better than Scotland. I've not. No.
Oh, it's incredible. Arnold Schwarzenegger's house in Austria is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal, John. What's a life?
Austria is an incredible place, man. The Alps, and just it's Scotland but better. Scotland with better weather. My issues with Dunkirk had nothing to do with the story. I was actually very much looking forward to it. It was how he put it all together. Yeah, I mean, it was disconnected. I think it was deliberate, because it was to showcase the sort of... If he'd made it about a singular character and a human story,
you
would have lost the sort of general meaning of what Dunkirk was. It was just hopelessness. Obviously, you've got Branner in there as a sort of fucking marshal or whatever. I don't know what he is. His rank.
That's why, John, we I think at the time we preferred, although we both liked Dunkirk, I think we preferred the Gary Oldman film, which was the same period, it was the same moments.
Yeah, yeah, you're talking about
Churchill.
Churchill, yeah. But say downfall, fuck me. That's the other leader. That's the bad guy.
Yeah, that's the bad guy. That's an understatement. The villain.
Well, there was a couple of bad guys. Stephen Stalin helped win the war, but he was also a fucking bad guy. Let's get real here.
I'm trying to...
With 24 million people. I mean, that's bad in anybody's book.
Gary Oldman.
I always forget it.
John, I reviewed it on our site as well. The Darkest Hour.
Darkest Hour. Yeah, that was a great movie. And again, Gary Oldman. Unbelievable.
But, as you alluded to in terms of...
Churchill was a bad guy.
Dunkirk didn't really have a focus on one character, and he's sort of, following that through. Like Darkest Hour, or even like Downfall, John, where it was focused on... It was more a character study than a grand sort of epic situation, in World War II. But I liked Dunkirk. I did like it.
What I liked was just the accuracy and the technical stuff with the Jericho sirens and the Junkers when they were coming down and dive bombing. I think it was Junkers or Stukas. I can't remember the name of the planes. I'm a bit of a World War II guy, like to read up on it and whatnot. Bit of a loser when it comes to World War II, some might say. But you get the sort of... There's a name for it. The what's it called? The something effect. Doppler effect?
Doppler,
That's the one. Doppler.
Yeah.
Wrong word. You get that. He used a truck. So there was so much detail involved. And again, that's what I love about Chris Nolan. And it's something that comes out in this trilogy of movies as well, Stephen. Attention to detail. It's all practical. It's on set. The actors have a great time filming the movies, because he has them in living, real environments. There's no green screen, there's no bollocks. They have a great time because they're there experiencing it. And you see that in the performances. It comes out. And across the three
John,
movies, just fucking great
they were,
performances again and again.
And I got, as I mentioned earlier, I got the DVD when it came out, and then I followed it up. Obviously, I went to see The Dark Knight in the cinema, which was a phenomenal experience. The audience were really taken aback with Heath Ledger's performance. So you always take those experiences with you, and you always remember those moments. And I didn't get the DVD for The Dark Knight Rises because this came out
Trilogy.
this year. And I've had this ever since. This is obviously the Blu-rays, which came with a great little booklet as well.
Yeah.
And I've kept that since 2012. Always go back to it.
Yeah.
It's just, as I mentioned about Nolan films, they've got that rewatchability about them. And this is one of my favourite trilogies.
And Stephen, I tell you what, man, Nolan will approve, and so will purists, because when you're actually watching it on Blu-ray, you're getting the best picture quality. These streaming services and digital stuff, they never ever get the quality what it is in the sort of actual hard copy, physical copy.
Yeah.
It's never at the level. And there's always a bit of compression, there's always something that's lost fidelity. I actually miss my Blu-rays. I used to have fucking loads of Blu-rays. Yeah. I sold them all because I'm like, well, I'm not going to use them anymore. Fucking should have kept them. I think I've still got a couple. I love Arnold too, but I hate Fubber. What is Fubber again? What is that? Am I fucking missing something?
Is that not the one he sings that song in?
Oh, is it? The Western, country Western song?
Yeah, it's weird. I think it is, yeah.
I still can't believe he signed up for Terminator. Fucking Dark Fate or whatever it was, to play Carl, the upholsterer. Carl. We can't say Carl in Scotland, we say Carol. Because we're fucking gimps. It was Darkest Hour. But yeah, what's doing that? For me, it's still highly influential. It's never going to lose its influence. These are movies that changed the game in terms of comic books and just performances. The fact you've got an Academy Award winner from a comic book movie. Now, people say it's posthumous. They were just throwing him out. They weren't. It was the best performance in the year, and he won for a comic book. This is an establishment, the Academy, that fucking grits their teeth any time they have to even recognise via a nomination a performance that ain't in some sort of snobby, fart-sniffing, human condition drama movie. So the fact that he won an Academy Award for that speaks volumes about how good the fucking movies were. It speaks volumes about the influence of the movies. They will never lose influence. They will date horribly, but look, Eminem's Dido, Stan song, is dated horribly. He's scribbling on paper. Unless you're some twatty Gen Z type who's went back to notebooks, nobody's scribbling on paper anymore. It's dated horribly, but it's still a great fucking song and it's still influential. So, I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's my final thoughts on it, Stephen. I don't know if you've got anything else to add.
Bring it back round to a film talk. That the chap that played Stan in the video was the little boy from Casper, the movie.
Oh, was it?
Played Casper. Yeah, the human version of Casper.
Casper, I used to love Casper. Fuck me, you talk about age horribly.
Bill Pullman and Christina Ricci.
Yeah. Devin Sawa.
That's him, yeah.
Puts me in mind of somebody.
Yeah,
he's 47, Stephen. Jesus Christ. Yeah. That's fucking crazy, man. But then I think actors that are my age, from round about that period, and there's a few. There was one I used to watch back in the day I loved. Our Perfect Day. Is that what it was called? George Clooney. Perfect Day Out. George Clooney. Fucking never going to get this. I'm going off piste here. Getting nothing to do with Perfect Day. Not Perfect Storm. Fuck it. I liked that film as well, by the way. I went and seen that in the theatre. One Fine Day. And the leading actress and actor in that, the little kids, they're the same age as me, I'm pretty sure. Which is fucking mind-blowing. I spoke about this before. Nicholas Hoult, talking about DC, also playing Lex Luthor and Superman. It still blows my mind he's the same age as me. I mean, I seen him in About a Boy, and I'm like, that guy's at least 10 years younger than me, and not a chance. Fucking same age as me. Yeah. Crazy.
Well, it's interesting. I know I don't want to go on and on about it, but it's interesting to see that Gunn is taking a different route to, obviously, in comparison to what Nolan did with those films.
Yeah.
And tonally, it's going back to the sort of way it was, And I think in terms of certain characters, you've got to do that with. Certainly with Batman, I think it worked with Nolan. I don't know if Chris Nolan doing a Superman trilogy would have worked. I don't think it would have, because it's not grounded enough for Nolan to have that creativity and just making it believable. Because as much as I love Superman as a character, a character that flies you can't make believable. I'm afraid it's got to be superhero.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see in terms of the Dark Knight trilogy's legacy. Is it still rubbing off on the genre or not? It really just depends, I suppose. Doesn't it?
I think Matt Reeves tried it with the Batman. He's clearly heavily influenced by the Dark Knight trilogy, because it's still kind of dark. It's a little bit more emo. It's like this little guy that's running about. You think he's Ozzy Osbourne just now. Thinks he's sort of Prince of Darkness, Prince of... I don't know.
Jack?
No. Jack's actually cool as hell now. Jack used to be a fucking little arsehole back in the day, but I actually quite like Jack now. He's matured into a pretty cool guy. He's got a lot of stuff going on as well, multiple sclerosis and stuff like that, so he's overcoming health issues of his own. Jack's actually pretty cool. Now, it's some little fucking... He was at the BMA Awards or something doing a tribute. He's fucking putting an act on, trying to act as if he's from the north of England, and he's fucking bit of a gimp. I don't know where I'm going with this. I've completely lost the fucking plot here, man. Totally lost the plot. And I mean completely lost the plot. What were you saying? I was going to say something there at the end.
Basically, we're rounding it up with the legacy of obviously the Dark Knight trilogy, John. Yeah,
obviously where Batman, how it will rub off in other movies moving forward. Stephen, James Gunn. I love James as a filmmaker. The way he dabbles with different genres and he can make you laugh and cry, boot you in the balls all in the one scene. He's like Taika Waititi in that regard. The way he utilises music as well is really cool. But I've got real concerns about that guy spearheading Batman movies, because he's not... You can't be introducing that kind of vibe into a Batman movie. Batman's a serious character. There's always a bit of darkness in there, and it's required. The characters get an edge to him. We spoke about this with Michael Keaton. For me, he's the greatest Bruce Wayne of all time, because there's an edge to him. He's a guy you don't fuck with. You met him in an alleyway, you'd be fearing for your life, he'd beat the shit out of you. And it should be there with Batman. You can't be bringing levity or funny little moments. I mean, you can do it. You kind of got it with the fountain stuff in the Dark Knight, Bruce, but you can't.
Yeah, bringing Robin into it, John. That's the concerning thing.
So I worry about him with Batman.
Holy smokes, Batman.
Oh, I know, God. So I've got worries, but to be fair, the script that he's got earmarked for this Brave and the Bold, or whatever it's called, with little arsehole Robin, who's the son of Bruce, and he's this little evil version. I find that kind of fucking again, I'm worried because Robin's in there. I'm getting flashbacks to that fucking Chris O'Donnell. Fucking worried about it, man. You start introducing Robin into a Batman movie, you lose me very quickly. It's not necessary. It's like Grogu in The Mandalorian. The Batman doesn't need the Batman. I'm doing Joker here. Batman doesn't need a fucking sidekick. He's capable on his own. He doesn't need some fucking coat-tail, hugging little gimp in red and green jumping about with him. I've used that word a lot tonight. But look, man, ultimately, Stephen, legendary trilogy. Stands the test of time. Brilliant performances, brilliant villains, really intelligently crafted movies. A lot of depth in there. Get that little Nolan touch that is apparent in all his movies. Ultimately, that stands him out for me. I don't think we're ever going to get a Batman movie that tops any Nolan's. It's a gold standard. I don't know what the equivalent would be with Superman, because even though Christopher Reeve is legendary in his performances, there's just elements of that to this day that I check out with. It was a great performance for the time. Yeah. It's just like, he's giving speeches about the subway system being the safest and most reliable form of transportation in the city. It's like, fuck is this? So I still think we're waiting for that sort of gold standard Superman movie to come. That last one I didn't mind. Yeah, it was good. But there's room for improvement.
It wasn't great, it was good, yeah.
Whereas I think we've reached the the zenith for Batman. The only way is down now. The only way is up. Well, it's not for this. I've got nothing more to add though, Stephen. I'm waffling. It is coming up for 25 to 1 in the morning here. And I'm acutely aware, Stephen, you go to your bed a lot earlier than I do.
After John, yeah.
You've merely, what was the line again? You've merely thing with the dark. What is it he says to Bruce? Not thinged. Adopted.
Yeah.
I was born in it. I'm a creature of the night. I very much like to stay up late. Very late. You, Stephen, are a morning person, I want to say. So...
Well, I'd say you're very much a morning person because you don't go to your bed till 5 o'clock in the morning, so...
Not as late as that now. I'm a changed man. I go 20 to 4 now. It's only because my job allows it. I've got a flexible job and I can get out of my bed later and start later. So if my job dictated, I'd be back to those 7 a.m. starts, Stephen. Don't you worry about it. I was up. Fucking 7 in the morning. I didn't enjoy it, but I was up. But look, man, that's going to round it up. What was your thoughts on... I've not looked at this fucking guideline we've had in the entire discussion, man. We've got a guideline here, I never looked at it. Closing thoughts.
That was good.
What is your thoughts on the Dark Knight trilogy? Where do you think it stands in terms of legacy with DC? I think it's at the absolute top. I can't think of many other DC projects that top it. Also, the Snyder fanboys will come in and say, oh, Man of Steel. All these other ones. The Snyder cut of Justice League's better. Well, it's not. I know it's subjective, but you're wrong. Objectively wrong. But where would you rank it? Do you think it still has influence? I still think it's very much influential. I don't think it'll ever lose its influence. Great movies never lose their influence, Stephen. There's Hitchcock movies from fucking 60 years ago that are still influential. Kubrick movies, I could go back further, but I wouldn't get the names. The guy that done the fucking Quiet Man. Eye Patch. One of the greatest directors of all time. His movies still have influence.
Is that John Ford?
John Ford. Charlton Heston movies like the Greatest Showman. Greatest Show on Earth. 10 Commandments. Mega Man to maybe not the Mega Man. These movies all still have influence. Great movies don't lose their influence. But share your thoughts down below on that. Anything you want to share, pop it down below in the comment section like Sin has, and we appreciate you coming in, Sin, and commenting as ever. But I'm going to just pass it over to the whole subscribe jargon that I like to do and I nearly forgot to do before I ended the stream. If you want to see more content like this, more waffling, more absolute nonsense, indecipherable accents, hit subscribe, bell icon, you get notifications for future content. There's full button notifications button over on Twitch as well. I don't even know if I've got anybody over on Twitch at this point. Absolutely fucking nobody. But if you do see this and see more, follow over on Twitch as well. All that's left to be said though is thank you once again. If you're back for watching, if you're new here for watching, admit the once again. And until next time, me and Stephen are done.